Hello, everybody. I'm Parrish Alford. This is John Davis, and we're here for some rapid reaction after the Hugh Freeze press conference on Labor Day. JD, smelling good, man. They got the burgers going down there.
He invited us over to eat some burgers. I think we should go do it.
That's right. That's right. We need to take advantage of that. But first, let's talk a little bit about what we've heard from the press conference today. We went through a series of, I guess, what would be considered negative questions because it seemed like Freeze breathed a sigh of relief when he finally got to talk about his defense and some other good things. But I think that's just where the expectation level is for this team right now. There's David Brandt over there from the Associated Press. He's clowning as we go through some rapid reaction here. That's where the expectation level is for this team. I mean, you come in number 18 in the preseason. People expect you to play with a little more fluency in the season opener. We didn't see that. All the false starts in the first half, the 3 interceptions by Bo Wallace in the first half, some better play in the second half. But there's a lot to address for this team right now, and we talked about that with Hugh Freeze today. The question I had, JD, was when you have a quarterback who has come off his progressions, is that and those throws result in interceptions, is that a freedom that the quarterback has, like checking into a different play? I mean, do you tell a guy that it's okay to do that? The answer was obviously no.
No, you can't let him do that. I think Bo, he talked about it as well. I think those are things that are going to improve. I mean, I know we've talked a lot about that with Bo. I mean, he's made so many great moments, so many great throws, and Freeze talked about that. I mean, I think he even said, I'm not going to get on to him for all the things that he's done here. And I think that's the thing we keep trying to reiterate. He has done a lot for this program in a short amount of time, and they've gone to 2 bowls because they have Bo Wallace. But at the same time, when you have all these expectations and your team is ranked 18 in the country, and you have this amount of talent, most that they've had since that 09 team started the year like this. When you see that slow start, especially in offense, you're going, what's going on? So, I think that you make your biggest, I've always been told, you make your biggest improvements from game 1 to game 2. I think if they take that approach and get things corrected this practice session going into Vanderbilt, they should look that much better. I really do.
Yeah, I tell you what, you're absolutely right. This team is not where it is right now if Bo Wallace signs somewhere else. Okay, he's just not. And we know where the program was when Hugh Freeze took over in December of 2011. Not much talent, a lot of discipline issues, and you've heard Freeze himself say that he believes that the journey is ahead of schedule. Okay, so ahead of schedule. They're not where they are without Bo Wallace. At the same time, when Wallace got here in 2011, they probably needed, 2012, for the 2012 season, they needed a little bit of his gunslinger mentality at quarterback. They needed a guy who was going to take chances because a lot of times those chances paid off. Sometimes they didn't. They need less of that gunslinger mentality now. They need Bo Wallace to stay within himself, and he talked about that as well in his time at the podium, and I think you're going to see that. I think in the Vanderbilt game you'll see a guy who's going to stay in his progressions. I think you'll see improved decision making, and frankly, they were fortunate that they were in such control against Boise
and so good on defense,
and so good on defense, and got away with those 3 interceptions.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt their defense kept them in the game. And really set the tone. And I think the guy that I talked to was big, and that's Will Gleason. Mm-hmm. I think Will Gleason punting as well as he did was really key for him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, defense playing so well already, then you throw into that field position. That was big. I mean, they didn't have to try and protect a short field. Gleason had a great game in his first college game. Some other news and notes to come out. Freeze says he does expect linebacker Shadarius Bryant to be available for the whole game, so that's his interpretation.
It makes sense on that, I guess, but I'm kind of like you. I thought he would have to miss maybe a quarter, but since I guess he missed the majority, he won't have to miss the entire game.
And linebacker Denzel Kimdichie is back in the good graces of the team. He will play this week, and back in Freeze's good graces, I guess I should say.
That's right.
He'll play this week, and it looks like the 2 of them will split time at that outside linebacker spot. JD, I thought it was big to look up so many times in timeouts against Boise and in defensive huddles and see Denzel Kimdichie right there.
Yeah, I think Denzel Kimdichie's ready to get on the field and make amends for what he had a terrible offseason. I mean, you couldn't have asked for many more things to have happen to him. Of course, the injuries of last year, just not being around the game, and then compounding it with some of the things off the field. I think he's ready to get back on the field and do right and get back to the player we saw a couple years ago.
Well, if he can do that, he's really going to help this team, and the defense that we saw that was really good against Boise will be better. If Denzel Kimdichie finds that hunger and the health that he had in 2012, this defense is going to be better. Another big topic from today's press conference, the run game. Freeze took that on his shoulders. He said that the players, he didn't have them as prepared as they needed to be on offense. He carried the brunt of that criticism, and you remember going into the Boise game how much he talked about how difficult it was to prepare for this game with new coordinators and different schemes and things of that nature. So he accepted the responsibility in the run game, but we'll have to wait and see. It really was not very strong.
It wasn't. I think teams are going to stack the line. I'm glad that he takes that responsibility as opposed to puts it onto young offensive linemen or inexperienced offensive linemen. I mean, he could have said Ben Still wasn't very good. I mean, that would have been bad. I think it was good for him to take that approach. I think moving forward, that offensive line is going to have to get better, and I think the coaches have to find a way. You talked about scheme, coming up with plays to open up the running game. I think that's all part of it. I think the coaches are going to have to do that. And then at the end of the day, the offensive line is just going to have to gel and get better and win some of those blocks, because I until you can get 8 guys out of the box, you're going to see 8 guys in the box.